Muling namayagpag ang Uniteam Tandem na sina Presidential Aspirant Bongbong Marcos Jr. at Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte sa Pulse Asia Survey results na inilabas nitong Miyerkules, April 6, 2022. Ang survey ay isinagawa ng public opinion polling body sa Pilipinas na Pulse Asia mula March 17 hanggang March 21. Kahit na nangunguna si Marcos, bumaba ito ng 4% puntos sa 56%, habang ang kanyang kalaban na si Vice President Leni ay tumaas ng 7% puntos sa 24%. Pangatlo naman si Manila Mayor Isko Moreno na may 8%, sinundan ni Senator Manny Pacquiao na mayroong 6% at may 2% lamang ang nakuha ni Senator Pin Lacson. Umabot naman sa 3% ang nagsabing hindi pa nakakapili ng kanilang iboboto sa darating na eleksyon. Samantala sa karera ng pagkabise, tumaas ng 3 punto si Mayor Inday Sara Duterte na mayroong 56%, habang Senate President Vicente Soto III ay bumaba ng 4 na puntos na ngayon ay may 20% na lamang. Si Senator Francis Pangilinan ay tumaas ng 4 na puntos na nakakuha ng 15%. May 6% naman ang nakuha ni Doc Willie Ong at 1% kay Lito Atienza. Ang poll ay may 2,400 respondents na may edad 18 pataas at rehistradong botante. Sa kabilangan ng samut-saring paninira kay Bongbong Marcos ng mga kakamping, ay hindi pa rin talaga mapipigilan ang kanyang pangmayagpag. Gawan man ng samut-saring issue, gawan man ng kahit anong paninira kay Bongbong Marcos, wala nang tao pang naniniwala sa mga kakampings na ito. Samut-saring paninira, magnanakaw, nagbabayad ng tao para pumunta sa rally. Tax evader daw, hindi nagbabayad ng buwis. Kahit paanong paninira, hindi na naniniwala ang taong bayan dahil alam na ng mga Pilipino kung sino talaga ang tunay na magnanakaw, sino talaga ang tunay na nagmamahal sa ating mga Pilipino, at kung sino talaga ang may malinis na hangarin para sa Pilipinas.
Yes. How much of a gain, how much of a loss for us to see a possible win for Vice President VP Robredo? Go ahead.
Well, the gap between them is 32 percentage points. So if you have it, if Bongbong Marcos loses 16 points and then Robredo gains 16 points, they will be statistically tied. So you need larger than 16 percentage point decline for Bongbong Marcos and larger than 16 percentage point increase for Leni Robredo.
But this is, of course, not the first pre-election survey at this point that Pulse Asia has done. You've done this many times in several elections. The question now is, as things stand at this point, is it enough to already correctly point to a clear winner in the May 9 elections?
No, we always say we should always look at the survey that's closest to election day itself.
And how many more surveys will you be conducting before then?
Just one more, the April round.
The April one, and when is this expected to come out?
We will try to come out with it either latter part of April or early May.
Which means the survey is being conducted now as we speak.
No, we're starting to prepare for it.
All right. Now, based on the results, because I mentioned earlier we're going to talk about Manila Mayor Isko Moreno as well, posting his highest second choice for voter preference. If you factor that in, and the gains and the standing, the lead of former Senator Marcos, would you still consider this as a three-way race among the three?
No, it's more of a two-way race.
It's more of a two-way race between Vice President Leni Robredo and Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
Yes.
All right. But if you look at past, let's look at the 2016 pre-election surveys. At that point, then candidate Duterte was already maintaining his lead, correct?
No, in March of 2016, he was able to catch up with Senator Grace Poe, but
Correct.
he was able to overtake her in April.
In April, which was the last. But then let's look at the numbers then. Those numbers are nowhere near the numbers that we're seeing right now.
Yes, they were closer together.
All right. So with the topics that were being the topics that were on hand at the time the surveys the survey was being conducted, which of the issues then do you think really had a hand in the way the people surveyed answered the survey, Dr. Tabunda?
I don't think any particular issue during surrounding the survey period had a particular impact on the voter preference. I think it's more of the campaign strategies of the various candidates and their messaging rather than the developments at the national level that had little to do with the campaign.
And would you say that this is quite different from the last elections that we had? Or at this point, is messaging really the key and no longer the issues at play?
Messaging is key because of how the presidential candidates will be perceived by the voters.
But we also got to remember back in 2016, there were issues upon issues that were launched against then candidate Binay, and that took a toll on his numbers as well. So, but this time it's very different.
Those issues were raised very early on in the case of Vice President Binay, and so there was time for those issues to have their impact. If you look at this current election round, no such issues are being raised. The cases that were filed for the disqualification were dismissed, for example.
But there is still the issue, for example, of the Marcos estate tax debt. And there are many issues still being lodged against survey frontrunner Marcos Jr. Based on your experience, why are those not sticking?
Apparently, the voters are considering other things apart from those issues.
And what are these things?
I think a large factor in favor of former Senator Bongbong Marcos is his association with his father, who is apparently perceived to have been a good leader.
I was talking to a political analyst a couple of days back, Dr. Tabunda, and Professor Julio Tehanqui said that at this point there has to be something earth-shattering that should happen to affect the numbers. Would you say as much as well?
Yes, we need some really some developments that would really affect that would have a great weight on the way voters are thinking right now. Barring that, we will essentially be seeing essentially the same results, a large lead.
And Dr. Tabunda, as a final question, I do want to ask you this. You know how toxic it's been, right? And, you know, a lot of supporters being part of the circus as well. It's not just, you know, the public looking at the candidates from a distance, looking at them, attacking each other. Now, the people themselves are part of the circus. Now, survey houses as well are being dragged into this as well. What do you tell those who continue to believe that the survey results that have been put out for the public to digest are manipulated, are not the real picture, not the real snapshot of what is happening there outside as we speak? Dr. Tabunda.
Well, we employ scientific methods in collecting our data, and we stand by our results. We have a track record. We've had several elections, and the results of the survey closest to election day were close to the results of the voting itself. We are not manipulating the data.
Right, we're going to have to leave it at that. Dr. Anna Tabunda there, Research Director of Pulse Asia. We appreciate you joining our call. Thanks again for joining us today. Take care and you keep safe.
Thank you.